Prince Deepangkorn is the only officially recognized son of the King of Thailand. He is 21 years old, and people call him the unhappiest prince in the world. His childhood was clouded by rumors about his development, and his mother was cruelly erased from his life, while the boy himself was forbidden to see her. But everything changed after the recent death of the eldest princess. The throne was left without an obvious heir, and the attention on Deepangkorn grew more intense than ever. And it was at exactly this moment that the prince was seen with a young woman at his side. The king's scandalous favourite, Sineenat, began appearing beside him regularly, and his exiled older brother unexpectedly started meeting Malaysia's most senior figures. Who is this mysterious young woman with Deepangkorn? Where is the prince's mother now, after her exile from the palace? And why is his exiled brother meeting Malaysia's most senior figures? Watch this video to the end to learn all the secrets of the Thai royal family. On the 6th of August, social media in Thailand simply exploded. Footage from a Bangkok metro station appeared online. In the video, Deepangkorn walks calmly down the stairs, holding a young woman by the hand. The media quickly picked up the story, and his companion was soon reported to be Japanese. At the same time, her name, her background, and other details still remain unknown. When he was asked who this young woman was, Deepangkorn did not avoid the question and answered directly, "I am courting her." This is another reason why the prince's private life has attracted so much attention. Under Thai law, he can lose his right to the throne if he marries a foreign woman. So a serious relationship with a Japanese woman could directly affect his future. For Thailand, this was a real sensation. For the first time, the private life of the king's 21-year-old son was on open display. Only a few years ago, troubling rumors circulated about Deepangkorn's development, rumors that made many people doubt whether he would ever be able to carry out a serious royal role. According to reports in the European press, at the age of 12 he still could not tie his own shoelaces, and servants helped him. And at the mourning ceremony for his late grandfather, the king, when the whole family stood in sorrowful silence, the boy behaved inappropriately. He laughed and lifted his sister up in his arms. But the Deepangkorn the public sees today is a very different young man, calm, confident, and independent enough to tell strangers openly about the young woman he likes. And after the death of his elder sister Bajrakitiabha, every appearance like this carries a completely different weight. The princess died at the age of 47. In December of 2022, she lost consciousness and fell into a deep coma. For 3.5 long years, her life depended entirely on machines that kept her breathing. And on the 11th of June, 2026, her heart stopped. For a long time, she was considered one of the strongest figures of the next generation of the royal family. Now, Rama X has only one son left with official royal status, Deepangkorn. But there is an old family drama behind the adult life he leads today. When Deepangkorn was only 9 years old, his mother Shri Rasmi was driven out of the palace and separated from her son forever. Almost 12 years have passed since then. Where and how does she live now, and why did the king treat her so cruelly? Shri Rasmi Suwadi was not of royal blood. In 1993, Shri Rasmi, a girl from an ordinary family, entered the palace and became one of the court attendants. There she met Crown Prince Maha Vajiralongkorn. Their relationship stayed hidden for a long time, and in 2001 they married in secret. When Shri Rasmi gave birth to Deepangkorn, her future seemed secure. She had given the dynasty an heir and lived like the richest princess in the world. But in 2014, everything collapsed. A huge scandal broke out. Shri Rasmi's relatives were accused of large-scale corruption in which the royal name was used. Her parents and her brothers were sent to prison. The prince was only 9 years old when his mother was suddenly stripped of all her titles. the boy was taken away from her and brought to Germany. Ever since, he has lived at a private villa in Bavaria, on the shore of a lake with a view of the Alps. He has everything there: a swimming pool, 24 servants, silence. The residence where his father lives is only 60 kilometers away, but there he grows up completely alone. Shrirasmi was effectively erased from life. As punishment, her head was shaved, she was dressed in the plain white robes of a Buddhist nun, and she was completely cut off from the outside world. The former princess was placed under lifelong house arrest. Her prison became the house of her own parents, which over the years fell into ruin. Reporters described a decaying home with a collapsing, leaking roof, where the former queen is forced to live in real poverty. The conditions of her life were strikingly different from her former palace luxury. She was allowed to stay only inside the house and in a small garden, where she grew vegetables herself, kept the house, and weeded the garden beds. Journalists kept watch at the gates of the house for a long time, trying to understand what was happening to the former princess. At one point, Shrirasmi passed them a handwritten note asking to be left in peace. She wrote that she wanted to live quietly and devote herself to religious practice. Unlike real nuns, who are allowed to leave the monastery at least until midday, Shrirasmi had to remain under house arrest, strictly inside her own home and small garden, for life. However, in 2021, photographs appeared online of a woman who looked very much like Shrirasmi in a restaurant in the city of Hua Hin. People then said that the terms of her confinement might have been eased, but after that, she disappeared from public view again without a trace. She was forbidden to speak with her only son forever. Deepangkorn grew up without his own mother, and another woman from the king's closest circle appeared beside him more and more often, Sineenat. She accompanied the prince at official events, and over time became one of the most visible figures around him. What makes this especially interesting is that Sineenat is not just a member of the court, but one of the king's most beloved and most scandalous women. To understand why she became so close to his son, we need to recall her incredible story. Sineenat, a woman with an extraordinary fate, was born in 1985. Her parents lived in the poor province of Nan, a place overlooked by tourists. They were overjoyed when Sineenat finished medical college and received a nursing diploma. Her father dreamed that his daughter would become a doctor in a village clinic. But things turned out differently. She became the queen of a country of 70 million people. When Sineenat turned 20, she decided to change her life completely. She gave up medicine and entered military service, joining the bodyguard corps. Sineenat trained on equal terms with the men and surpassed many of her fellow trainees in skill. She learned to fight in jungle conditions, to jump with a parachute, and even to fly airplanes. On one of her assignments, she was entrusted with guarding the head of state, King Rama X. That mission became the turning point in her life. The monarch could not resist the young warrior and fell into a passionate love affair with her. In July of 2019, Thais greeted the news that Sineenat had been granted a royal title with delight. Thanks to her beauty and her unusual life story, she was very popular among the people. She was called the Angel Princess. A unique situation had taken shape in Thailand. The country had one king and two queens at the same time. Suthida was the official wife, while Sineenat held a lower and less certain status. Inside the palace, there were complicated intrigues and open conflicts. Predictably, the official wife Suthida came out on top. Sineenat was accused of disloyalty to the monarchy. She was stripped of all her awards, her rank of Major General in the Air Force, and her royal title. Instead of a symbolic punishment, she was sent to a prison for especially dangerous criminals serving life sentences or awaiting execution. That prison has a terrible reputation, and life inside it is brutal. The treatment she received was so severe that the former queen accepted her fate and prepared for death. And then another miracle happened in this woman's life. In August of 2020, the private Boeing of King Rama landed near the prison where Sineenat was being held. The cabin of the aircraft was completely empty, and the pilots had only one instruction: to pick up a single passenger, Sineenat. The weakened prisoner was brought from the prison to the plane, which took off immediately. It set a course for Europe. Just 10 hours later, Sineenat found herself in a room at a 5-star spa hotel in a resort town in the south of Germany. The king was waiting for her there, and according to eyewitnesses, their conversation went on for many hours. But the most interesting part began later. At the end of 2021, Sineenat disappeared from public view again. For many long months, she stayed quietly in Germany, working on religious projects behind the scenes. The real turning point came in October of 2025, when the 93-year-old Queen Mother Sirikit died. Immediately after that, Sineenat made a triumphant return to the very center of the royal family. And now, in August of 2026, she is accompanying Prince Deepangkorn to a women's prison. This visit is symbolic. After all, she went through that hell herself. And while Deepangkorn is strengthening his position inside the system, his brothers have been trying for years to return home. But why did the king exile his own sons? Let us go back to the time when Rama X was still crown prince. He was in a cold marriage to his cousin, one that his family had forced on him. But everything changed when the prince met a 16-year-old aspiring actress, Yuvadida. Their relationship lasted 15 years. She gave the prince 5 children, 4 sons and a daughter. The prince was so obsessed with her that he went against the will of his powerful mother, obtained a divorce from his first wife, and officially made the former actress his wife. They seemed like a model family destined to rule the country. But this fairy tale lasted only 2 more years and turned into a nightmare. One morning, the people of Bangkok woke up to a different reality. Across the capital, unknown people had covered streets, fences, and building walls with enormous posters. Each one showed the face of the future king's wife. The large print said that Yuvadida had entered into an intimate relationship with a 60-year-old air marshal. The anger of the prince was devastating. Yuvadida and her 4 sons were stripped of their diplomatic passports and their royal titles. They were ordered to leave Thailand forever. The strangest thing about this exile was that the youngest daughter, Princess Sirivanavari, was kept in the palace. The 10-year-old girl was forcibly separated from her mother and her brothers. Life in America was harsh for the former heirs to the throne. The family found itself across the ocean without royal support, status, or money. Later, Vajrayana recalled those years in an interview. A teenager with the blood of Thai monarchs in his veins walked through American suburbs, trying to sell vacuum cleaners. And on weekends, he stood under the burning sun at car races, selling ordinary hot dogs to help his family survive financially. The brothers endured the hardship, took out student loans, and devoted themselves to their studies. Years of hard work brought results. Jutha Vihara, the eldest son, became a successful aviation engineer. Chakriwat, despite his own health problems, trained as a doctor. Vajrayana built a career in finance. And the former hot dog seller, Vajrayana, graduated from law school and became a sought-after lawyer in New York. At the same time, the sons never criticized their father in public. As they admitted themselves, every year they wrote letters to the king. Every year they asked for a short meeting. And for 27 years in a row, those letters remained unanswered. In August of 2023, one of these brothers, Vajrayana, unexpectedly flew to Bangkok. He talked with people and gave interviews. The prince behaved like an ideal candidate for the throne. He did charity work, visited temples, and spoke to the press. But the king simply ignored him. An official audience never took place. In the spring of 2025, the prince took an extreme step. Vajrayana voluntarily shaved his head, and became a Buddhist monk. But the aging king remained unmoved. Vajrayana was forced to give up the monk's robe, was escorted to the airport, and sent back to New York. One possible reason for the refusal was the brothers' secret private life. It turned out that one of the claimants to the throne, Vajrayana, was in a legal marriage with an American government employee named Elisa Garofano. And under the laws of the palace, any member of the royal family who marries a foreign woman is permanently excluded from the line of succession. It might seem that the story of the exiles was over, but at the end of July 2026, Vajrayana makes a bold new move. He appears in neighbouring Malaysia. A man expelled from Thailand by his own country's security services is now holding meetings at the highest level of the state, with the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim, and the reigning Sultan of Kelantan, Muhammad V. This looks like a strong show of force. If Bangkok will not accept him, he is ready to build his own connections just across the Thai border as an independent player. And so today, the King of Thailand has still not named an heir to the throne. His eldest daughter has passed away. His daughter Sirivannavari is far removed from politics. His 4 eldest sons remain in enforced exile. Only Deepangkorn is left. Only a few years ago, many people doubted whether he would ever be able to carry out a serious royal role, and he was hardly seen as a future ruler. But today his image is changing noticeably. He carries himself with more confidence, he speaks with people more and more freely, and he now has a private life. And in Thai social media, people are increasingly talking about his physical resemblance to Rama I, the historical founder of the Chakri dynasty. Most interestingly, all of this is happening now, after his elder sister's death, with the Thai throne once again left without an obvious heir. What do you think? Is the prince simply growing up, or is the royal family now carefully creating the perfect image of a future king? Write your opinion in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next videos.